Hello, hello, hello. How you doing? This is Simon Pink on Poppyland Radio. Hope you're all having a good time. What's the weather like out there? A bit iffy today, but typical Norfolk weather, just like how we like it, isn't it? Nice and cold. That track, that amazing track that you've just heard, was from my special guest here today, Uli Jon Roth, and that was a track called Longing for Fire, taken from the album Tokyo Tapes Revisited. That was amazing. And what I really liked about it, we didn't just get one guitar solo, we got two amazing guitar solos on that. Tell us a bit about that track, really.
That track was from the In Trance days. It was from 1975. And yeah, talking about guitar solos, for me, that was an important track because it was kind of the first time I was playing a little bit in the more virtuoso mode with the really singing guitar mixed with fast guitar runs. And so to me, that track was kind of a little bit like a new beginning, yeah, as a guitar player. I remember that. You know.
Sounds, and that was pretty much at the end of the Scorpions. Oh, I know when you did the original album, wasn't it?
No, that was at the beginning.
Oh, was it? Sorry. Of course, that was the second album, wasn't it?
Not the very beginning, but it was the second album.
Of course it was. Sorry, I got completely confused.
No, it's, it was just before we made it to Liverpool.
And then, of course, yeah, Liverpool.
Perspective, 1975.
And then the Tokyo tapes originally were at the end of the.
That's the very last one, yes.
Yeah, that's what I'm getting mixed up with. Sorry, I'm being a fool. I mean, that's pretty typical of me. And then obviously,
it was Flight to the Rainbow was the first one. Then it was In Trance, second one. Third one was Virgin Killer. The fourth one was called Taken by Force, and the fifth one was Tokyo Tapes.
It was. I've got the list in front of me, and I tell you what, you've got it exactly right. Well done. 10 out of 10.
Memory is still works. My long-term memory.
Oh, brilliant stuff! Brilliant. Well remembered. And then obviously you moved on from the Scorpions, and you started doing your own stuff, or you had your own band. Am I right in thinking that? Which was I'm reading my notes down. Electric Sun.
Yeah, Electric Sun was basically my band, which then became my solo career, you know. So I started off as a band, as a three-piece. We did 3 albums, all recorded in England, in London. And by the end, the band had grown to no less than 8 people on stage.
Oh,
so it became,
goodness me.
Yeah, it exploded a little bit. But that's what I wanted, you know. I wanted to really grow the colors, etc. You know, and the three-piece for me was like the tiniest, the smallest nucleus, and I was never quite happy doing three-piece live performances because I always felt the harmony, the accompaniment of the keyboard or the second guitar was missing, you know. Of course, on the albums, that was no problem because I was overdubbing my own rhythm guitars, but live, I was never really a happy camper. So after some initial couple of years as a three-piece, I brought in rhythm guitar, keyboards, you know, and then fleshed it all out. And then to me, that the concerts became a lot more homogeneous.
Wow, it sounds amazing what I've heard about, and I sort of got maybe Hendrix vibe is the wrong way to say it, but it's found I know Hendrix means a lot to you, so
you know, yeah, some of it was more in the Hendrix vein than others.
I see.
There was an undeniable Hendrix streak in there, but the Electric Sun as a whole, it was a lot more European than it was American, I would say. You know, Hendrix sounded very, very American, and mine was more leaning towards the classical end of the spectrum. You know.
Can I call it neoclassical? Is that the right terminology for it?
Well, somebody, coined that that phrase, you know. It wasn't classical at all. It was just inspired by some of that, you know.
Yeah, yes, and you got that sort of feel to it, and I can understand what you're going from there. But it's amazing stuff that you were doing. And what sort of what tracks did you do that I may have heard of from Electric Sun?
We didn't really have any quote unquote hit songs. It was all very much album based, and some stood out more than others. Usually it was the big epics, which are too long for you to play there, like 10-minute tracks. Like I had one, which was called Enola Gay Hiroshima Today, which was basically about the airplane that dropped the bomb on Hiroshima. I think to me that was one of the outstanding tracks, you know. On the first album, there was a track called Earthquake, not very commercial at all, but it did have, it did create quite a wave in the guitar community because I introduced a lot of new guitar techniques on that one, you know. And that was also one of the reasons why I left the Scorpions, because I already wrote quite a few of these songs while I was still in the Scorpions, but I knew that they would be completely out of place in that band. So
yeah, that makes.
It was a period in my life, you know. It was an important period, but and it had a beginning and an end, but it's, to me, it was more like an intermediate stage with hindsight, you know.
I know that we've all got to go there, and you did a damn good job of it. So yeah, so let's bring it a bit more up to date then. So what's happening at the moment?
At the moment, I'm during COVID, I stayed at home like everybody else, like a good boy, and I have to say, enjoy that, because I've been on tour so much, I didn't even know what it was like to be at home for so long. And I made good use of the time. I wrote a big tome. I wrote a big book, 600 something pages, called In Search of the Alpha Law, which is going to be published sometime this year. So that's one thing that I did. And I also wrote a lot of scores for orchestra and band, because that's my next project, and it's called the Alpha Experience.
Now I've heard all about this. This sounds amazing.
Well,
and you're doing it.
Starting off in Germany, you know, in June. The premiere is in June. It's basically orchestra and my band, rock singers, opera singers. It's quite it's quite a spectacle, because we also have a big screen, like everybody does nowadays, but I have pre-produced specific films for a lot of the songs, and I think that sets it apart. It's like very much an organic kind of trip into whatever, your own mind, you know, your inner space, the outer space, I don't know. It's all very melodic. That, for me, that's the most important thing: melody, harmony, and some of it is more complex, some of it is more simple. So I think it's all quite listenable. And whenever I did something like that in the past, which wasn't that often, but I have done orchestra shows before, those were always the biggest thrills to me. You know, I love that. Of all the musical performances, those are the ones that I love the most. I'm really looking forward to that.
When did you say that takes place again?
The first one is on the 6th of June in one of the big cities in Germany, Essen, it's called.
I know Essen, yeah.
Yeah. And afterwards, we are planning several more, hopefully also bring it to the UK at some point. But it's not an easy undertaking, because it's extremely it costs a lot of money with orchestra.
I can imagine.
Promoters have to be very well, they have to get the budget right, you know.
Yeah, of course they do. And
easy because most promoters are scared to even touch anything remotely new or dangerous, you know, or untested.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we shall see.
We will. Well, I saw you do. Is it Metamorphosis you did, which is like Vivaldi, and you're playing the violin parts on guitar. And I love my Vivaldi. I went out to Venice, which is, I believe, where he was born and brought up, and I went to see the Four Seasons being played there because I love it so much. I remember the Nigel Kennedy version. I saw that's what got me, but I saw it live there. Oh my God, it blew me away. And in fact, I've got on my CD player right now, I've got you playing some Vivaldi. So it's all right. Let's break into that, and let me just say to the listeners that you will think that it's violin being played. It is not. It is not. It is Uli playing the guitar on here. Let's just listen to some of this, Uli, and we'll talk about this in a second. Okay, this is beautiful. I'll speak to you in a sec.